So the way it will work basically is that we will be having for the next 2 weeks, we will be having small groups. So this is basically the small group. The small group in your case would include Mohammed, Rukia, and Abukar. So the three of you. Um, and then basically the way it works is that every group has a slightly different um, slightly different contents that you'll be working on, and then we will come back together again 2 weeks from now, so 2 weeks from this Friday, and then we will have a whole class discussion again in 2 weeks, and then after that we will go back into groups again, and we will be working on different things. So it will be basically a continuous sort of movement and change between small groups and large group. That's how that's how the revised course like schedule and structure will look like. So just so for you to know, I hope you've had a chance to look at the WhatsApp in the last few days. And if you do have any questions about the actual course structure, and or if you're confused as to what's happening, do write to me on WhatsApp. We can maybe leave the last 5 minutes of today to address those questions as well, if you want. But for today specifically, what we'll be doing is we'll actually be doing the content for today's class is note taking and summarizing. So we're gonna be looking at basically we're gonna be summarizing a text together. I'm gonna be guiding, like we're gonna be doing it together, all three of us. We should have been all four of us. And then tomorrow, what you'll be doing is you'll be working at the learning center. So Esther will be waiting for you. I mean, of course, apart from Rukia, who is not in the DAB, but Mohammed and Abukar, if whenever he does join, you guys will be hopefully at the learning center. We request that you go to the learning center. Esther will be waiting for you, and we'll be supporting you to work through the summaries there at the learning center. And then you'll be submitting those summaries by Sunday at the latest. So they're very small assignments. The way we've designed the structure is we're going to be having very small weekly activities slash assignments, which are doable in like a day, not large assignments basically. So we've slightly changed things a bit, and we hope this will help you a little bit more. So the way it will work is you'll do the activity with me on Friday. I'll show you what the activity is. Then you'll actually work on it together on Saturday, and then send it by Sunday, basically, even or Saturday evening. I hope all of this is making sense. Basically, everything I'm saying. Hope you're hearing me well as well. Okay, so that's in terms of the general structure. So what I'll do now is I'll start sharing with you the text that we'll be summarizing. Okay, and actually, so I'll start sharing. Sorry, I'll start sharing the text we'll be summarizing. So I'll give me 1 second. Are there any questions in the meantime while I look for the text? Is there any questions on either side? So we're hoping that the small groups will sort of provide a more intimate space, in a sense, for all of you to engage. Okay, here we are. Can you both see it, Mohammed, Rukia? Can you see the text?
Yes, yes.
Perfect, Rukia. Okay, Rukia, do you have any other questions in terms of the structure? Is it clear, like for the moment, what I was explaining?
Yeah, the instruction is very clear, but for the assignment of tomorrow, is it small, is it group work or individual assignment? And if Ista is also doing there, will I be able to communicate and uh, in line with the online? Can I take online discussion with them? How would I contribute?
Perfect, Rukia. Those are both really excellent questions. So the assignment tomorrow, so you will tomorrow what you'll be doing is you'll be doing one summary that's collective. So you'll be doing it all together, like working on a collective summary. So that one will be together, and then the second one will be individual, Rukia. The second summary. So you'll be doing two summaries tomorrow. One text you'll be doing shared, so you'll be discussing it together with Esther, and the second one will be individual. So you'll choose a text of your own, which I will show you like which text you can choose, and then you will be doing the summary by yourself. That one is individual. So one collective, one individual, both done basically between tomorrow. So there'll be very quick summaries, anyways. You'll see, Rukia. And then in terms of your second question, in terms of the connection, absolutely. So what you'll do is Esther will be connecting with you as well. Basically, I think what I'll do is I'll send Esther my Zoom link so that if she wants, she can use my Zoom link, or maybe I think Esther might have her own Zoom link. I'll figure that piece out, and I'll tell you. But yes, you'll be connecting with, or maybe she might WhatsApp you. She might do a WhatsApp call to you, Rukia, and have you join in the session with your colleagues, like online. So yes, you'll be connecting online basically in between 10 to 12, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. I mean, Esther will communicate, I think, the hour to you guys tomorrow, more precisely, more specifically, because Esther will be guiding that session. Rukia, does that
Okay,
make
I'll
sense?
be in touch with her. Yeah.
Perfect, Rukia. Okay, so anyways, going back to everything else is clear though. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. So this is the text that I've chosen for today. So this is, as you can tell, it's a research paper. So it's actually the introduction to an MRP, to a major research paper. So it's also a way for us to look at other research papers, other people's work. And what we'll be doing is we'll try to summarize as much as we can this piece basically together. And in doing so, we're gonna be obviously going over some of the main things that we do when we summarize, right? When we summarize. So let's start with if we start with the first paragraph, for example. So I'll read out the first paragraph. So the first paragraph reads, I hope you'll both be able to follow on the share screen. The importance of language in a person's life cannot be overstated. To speak and to be understood by others is at the crux of all our human interactions. To be functional in the human world requires us to have the ability to communicate with others. We rely on our words, spoken, signaled, or written, to convey meaning to our friends, family, colleagues, lovers, and strangers. From the most mundane of daily routines to our most personal expressions of emotions, thoughts, and fears, we require language. There is an unspoken capital embedded in our linguistic abilities that allow us to maneuver through society, particularly in the modern world that is predominantly systemized on the paradigm of the written word. The more elaborate our language skills, the more of the world we are able to participate in and contribute to. Okay, so that's our first paragraph, right? So when I assign this reading, what's the first thing we should do? Either one of you, Mohammed or Rukia. So what's the first thing you would do now that you have this paragraph? So any one of you, either Rukia or Mohammed, and I say here Mohammed. Go, Mohammed.
So when you want to maybe summarize a content maybe or a paragraph, you first find the key ideas or the key concept of the sentence or maybe of the paragraph.
Perfect, Mohammed. So where would you find it in this paragraph? Where is the key idea usually in a paragraph, Mohammed? And where is it in this specific paragraph, you mean?
So
Can you see Mohammed? Is it very, do you want me to enlarge it a
yeah,
little
yeah,
bit?
yeah, yeah. I can still zoom it. Yeah, it's okay.
Here we go. Maybe that's better.
Yeah, we can maybe like we can say communication.
Communication. Uh-huh. What anything else, Mohammed? Anything more than communication? What specifically about communication? What is the author saying about communication?
Like when we talk about communication, you have to maybe look about maybe spoken language, spoken, written, and and signals.
Hmm. Yep. So spoken and written language, basically. So the
Yeah.
main idea you're saying in this paragraph is the idea of spoken and written language. That's what you're saying, Mohammed. But is it
Uh,
anything else? Tell me.
and again, importance of language.
Importance of, yeah, absolutely. So the importance of spoken and written language. That's perfect. That's perfect, Mohammed. Anything else that you want to add? So where did you look at in the paragraph in order to know that the main idea is the importance of spoken and written language? Where did you look at, Mohammed? Or what did you look at,
You
if you prefer that?
you just look at maybe uh, how the sentence has started. Maybe in the first paragraph, that yeah,
Yep.
the importance of language in Basoni's life cannot be overstated. That means, that sentence is talking about how language is vital to a person's life.
That's very, very correct. Yep. Absolutely, Mohammed. That's a very, very good point. So the very first sentence, in a sense, right, Mohammed, you said, and that's a very good place to start. So typically, a paragraph, right? A paragraph, if it is well written, provided it needs to be a well written paragraph. So not always, but I mean most texts that are well written and well structured follow a paragraph structure, right? So in a paragraph structure, I'll show you right here, typically is written in the following way here. So we'll go back to sharing, but I'll share something else with you, which you probably have seen this before, I'm guessing, right? Here we go. Okay, is that clear to both of you, Mohammed and Rukia? Can you see this? So typically, a paragraph is structured in the following way: you will have a topic sentence, right? And
Just you have zoomed everything maybe a bit. You just reduce the size.
okay, thank you, Mohammed. Is this better?
Yeah, I'm not seeing the first paragraph. Maybe the size
No.
statements.
Can you see paragraph 2 though? Can you see the
Yeah, yeah,
screen?
yeah. Paragraph
Okay,
two. Yeah.
that's what we're focusing on. Don't worry.
Okay, sir.
So
Okay,
don't worry
okay.
about the top part. But technically, usually, a paragraph will be structured in the following way: you will have a topic sentence, right? Then you will have a few sentences on evidence, usually 2 to 3 sentences that bring about evidence. So they will be explaining, describing, right, the topic sentence, and then you'll have a concluding sentence, which usually is something about what the author bel believes, right? The sort of the importance of that topic sentence that they stated, or in a sense, it's a way to bring together everything that was said on that topic, right? So you'll have a topic sentence, a few sentences of evidence, so usually 2 to 3 sentences on evidence, and then a concluding sentence, right? And a concluding sentence is again where the author might state his or her position. The author might sort of come to sort of summarize, or almost summarize, basically what is important about this main topic that he or she was addressing, right, in this paragraph. So if we go back to our reading, right? If we go back to our reading, then you're absolutely right, Mohammed, in saying, well, then I would probably look at the first sentence, because in the first sentence, if we're summarizing here, the first sentence will be indicative of what the paragraph is about. You're absolutely right, and in fact, the first sentence that tells us the importance of language in a person's life cannot be overstated, which you've understood quite well means exactly that. It's speaking to the importance of language. So then if we continue with that, so what sort of evidence, what else does the author say about the importance? So how does the author then describe or explain or explore the importance of language? What are some of the things that the author says in the paragraph? What is some of the evidence, in a sense? Rukia, I see you've unmuted
Yeah.
yourself. Tell me, Rukia.
Yeah, at the start of the paragraph, the sentences, and in that sentence, some of those words in detail, there is examples given. Maybe these examples could be how language is communicated through friends, either spoken, signal,
Yeah.
or written. Yeah, that's an evidence of the sentence to describe the summary of the content through starting paragraph. Yeah.
Correct. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely, Rukia. And then what is in a sense though, so we know that it starts, so we know now that the first paragraph, we know what it is about, we know absolutely what it is about, the importance of spoken and written language, and where the importance of, like Rukia just said, in the descriptions, the author says this is important where in someone's life, right, in living, so a person's life, the importance of spoken and written language in a person's life, we would have to add, probably, right? We would have to qualify it in that way, because the author is telling us obviously that it's important in their daily interactions, in their daily routines, and in the way they communicate with others, right? Where does the what about the concluding sentence in this paragraph? Does the concluding sentence in this paragraph tell us anything more? Anything and any other piece of information that is important, perhaps, or maybe something that almost stretches the conversation onto somewhere else, like brings the conversation somewhere else, maybe, about the importance of spoken and written language? Where would you situate the concluding sentence here in this paragraph? What would the concluding sentence be, according to you, either one of you, whoever wants to go, really? Mohammed?
So maybe the other was maybe trying to maybe give us more skills about, the more we have maybe language skills
Yeah.
in terms of maybe written or or spoken.
Hmm.
So the more we communicate to the world and maybe contribute to maybe our views.
Hmm. Yep. So so this part right here, right? This would be you would say, Mohammed, this is the concluding sentence of the paragraph, the one right here. The more elaborate our language skills, the more of the world we are able to participate and contribute to, right? You're identifying this as the concluding sentence, right, Mohammed? Did I understand that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, and how do you know that that's the concluding sentence, by the way, first of all, Mohammed? How do you know that when you look at the text?
So uh, if maybe I just say something about how the other has included, because maybe the other was maybe saying, maybe if we have some skills on language, maybe we can still maybe some communicate to the world. Maybe that means we have some ideas about reading and writing, and understand the importance of speaking, writing, and even signals.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Mohammed. What I was asking was more like, how do you know that this is the final paragraph of that? Sorry, the final sentence of that paragraph. That's what I was asking. Like, what tells you that that's the final paragraph, final sentence of that paragraph? How do you know that the paragraph ends there?
Yeah, we can know.
Tell me, Rukia.
We can know the conclusion through supporting the first paragraph. It makes connections with the other. It summarizes. Yeah, connection is done to the main point because the author was supporting the first sentence, the first paragraph, importance of language, And then in that, he still connects his conclusion through repeating the first one.
Yes, that's correct. But he or she repeats it, Rukia, but also does, like Mohammed was saying too. The author not only repeats the importance of his thesis or her thesis, but she also adds something, right? She adds something this time. She tells us that not only it's important, she tells us the more elaborate our language skills are, so the more sophisticated, the more of these skills we have, the better we can participate, and the more we can participate and contribute to, right? So this emphasis on more, you see the emphasis, you both see this, right? The emphasis on more, that I think Mohammed was also I think this is what you were speaking to, right, Mohammed? This idea of that the author is saying the more we allow the more of these skills we have, the more of the world we participate in. So it's telling us that there's inequalities, right? You see what I'm saying? It's telling us maybe perhaps that what the author is saying is that some people have more of these skills and some people have less of these skills, right? And the people who have more of these skills are able to contribute more, right? And the people who have less of these skills are able to contribute less, right?
Maybe
You see that?
we can say,
Tell me, Mohammed.
For me, we can say maybe the author has some evidence about maybe what he is talking about. Like maybe there are some people who have more language skills, and then there are some people who have less, maybe language skills.
That's correct. Yep. So there's people that have more and people have less. So these language skills are maybe not evenly distributed, right? So and what's important here is it's like you said, they're not evenly distributed. So the skills are not evenly distributed, and this becomes important. Why? Because why does this become important? You think, Mohammed or Rukia, either one of you or both of you, why is this important? The fact that it's not evenly distributed. What is the author telling us? The more elaborate our language skills, the more of the world we are able to participate and contribute to. So if you have less of those skills, what happens? Basically.
So,
Hello?
Yes, Rukia.
Pardon, you said the more elaborate our language skills, the more of the world.
Yes, I was rereading that sentence, Rukia. We're really focusing on right now. We're like zoning in on this last sentence, right? And we already said together that this sentence is important because it restates the author's position, which you are absolutely right. It does, because it's talking about the importance of language, right? But it's also gesturing towards something else. It's adding something, right, to the initial thesis. So initially, the author just said, well, language is important in everyday life. Then now she's saying that the more of the language skills we have, the more we're able to contribute to the world. So what is implied in this sentence, right? What she's not saying, but it's there as well. What we can sort of understand from it is that if you have less of these language skills, what happens if you have less of these language skills?
Maybe there will be communication barriers, and
yeah, that's right.
Idea is not communicated well, because when there is no written and spoken, there is so many challenges in communication, hence affecting the society development.
And what about the person herself or himself, Rukia? What if the person hasn't developed fully their language skills? What can happen? What kind of barriers can that person face, you think, Rukia?
Maybe he will not contribute well to the society to reach his message very well.
That's very, very true. Yep.
Maybe a teacher who cannot write well, when he want to teach his children, or the learning center is not well equipped, or the teacher himself has no any skills in communication skills, it will be difficult for him to convey the message to the learners.
That's a very good point. That's a very good example of the teacher. Absolutely, Rukia. Can you think of any other examples of where of where the lack of language skills could become a big barrier to someone in participating in society, in a sense? Is there any other examples that you can think of, like any other examples that come to mind? Maybe Mohammed, do you have any other example that you wanted to bring up?
So an example can be maybe, for example, let me say community worker.
Uh-huh.
Maybe if maybe he don't have that language or that language to communicate maybe the community. Maybe in our context we have maybe Sudanese and maybe another community like Gambelas. And if I want to talk about maybe the Gambela people, so maybe still a communication barrier because for me, I don't know their language and I cannot communicate. Maybe I cannot convey the message.
Yep. And that might become important. Why, Mohammed? Why might that be important, you feel?
You say, pardon?
I was asking why is that important, Mohammed? Why might that be important? This the fact that you're not able to communicate as a community worker, for example.
Yeah. Maybe it is important for me for maybe for let me say in general for the people maybe to have skills about reading and writing in both languages so that maybe they can at least
Hmm.
in a good communication between both communities.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'll also add
Tell me,
poor
Rukia.
communication. Yeah, poor communication will also lead frustration and misunderstanding. Maybe a
Hmm.
good example is your customer and a certain client. Maybe you are a buyer and the seller. Maybe there will be a certain misunderstanding or frustration. Maybe when it comes to buying and selling. So if today you have bought something from that man and he takes much more than the expenses, that client will not come back to you and they will be hatred. So it is good the language you communicate should be very clear and very very clear and trustful to the right person whom you are conveying.
Uh-huh. That's a very good. That's another very good example too, Rukia. So there can be, and you're right, it can lead to frustration and misunderstandings, the lack of communication skills, of language skills, and frustration. And these frustrations and misunderstandings, yeah, like you said, can have a profound impact on the person afterwards. Because, like you said, perhaps the person no longer is able to sell anything because people stop coming, clients stop coming to him or her, because he or she is not able to communicate well. So people get frustrated, they misunderstand, they stop going, right? They stop going, they stop buying from him. People who are maybe illiterate also have less opportunities to find jobs, right? So, like, let's say if a person goes to a job interview and they're asked to speak, right, to speak orally, to present themselves, and they're not able to do so well, they might not land the job, right? They might not be given the opportunity, which can then impact them. Maybe they might lead them into like into poverty, but not necessarily poverty, but but larger inequalities, right? They might not be able to successfully land like good jobs and so forth. So what we're saying is, what you're all saying is, and you're absolutely right, is that there's a lot of barriers that come from not being able to communicate effectively. There's a lot of barriers that come from not being able to either write, read, or speak in an effective way, in a way that's at a good level, let's say, right, at a good standard level. So so this is what the author is telling us, really, right? So the author is telling us that language is important in everyday life, in every single context, whether it's the context of friends, family, colleagues, strangers, etc. Um, but not only is it important, the more we have of these skills, the more we are able to participate in the world, and we're able to benefit from the world, from participating in the world, right? So there's a very important passage there, right, in this concluding sentence, because this is telling us that not everyone is at the same level, and that people who are at a higher level, they have more opportunities maybe than those that are at a lower level, right? Do you see that too? You both see that too in the paragraph, right? What are some words? What are some words, keywords that like maybe that you? What are some actually before keywords? Actually, sorry, scratch that. What are some words that when you read this paragraph, you are unsure of the meaning of? Is there any word that you don't really know the meaning of that you would want to see defined? For example, you would have to find definitions of. So this question is open to all of you, obviously. So whoever wants to jump in, go for it. Are there any specific words that you see in the paragraph that that you are unsure of the meaning of? That maybe you've never seen before, or so it's the first time you see it, or in seeing it, in a sense, you're like, I'm not so sure how that word is used, Mirko, in a specific sentence or paragraph.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mohammed, tell me.
So maybe I can say, like in the lane of expression and emotion, thoughts and fear.
Uh-huh.
So maybe those are maybe one of concept that maybe the idea is going to give us.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, Mohammed, this is an important idea. It's telling us of the importance of language.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very, very good point. I was also asking in terms of are there any words in this paragraph that you are unsure of the meaning of? That's what I was also asking, Mohammed. So is there any word that is in the paragraph that you're not completely sure of
Yeah,
the meaning
yeah,
of?
yeah. With the same line from the most mundane.
Mundane.
Yeah, I was trying maybe to mundane.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I
So
was maybe trying to ask maybe.
so mundane means basically that are like things that are everyday, happen every day. So mundane interactions would be something like you seeing your friends, or you talking on the phone with your wife, for example, right, Mohammed?
Like sorry, maybe
Yes, Mohammed, I can hear you. Tell me.
sorry, maybe there was maybe connection, network connection problem. So maybe I was trying to ask maybe the mandate. So is this the same as 13?
So is it the same as? Say that again, Mohammed. Is it the same as?
Like 13.
It's
yeah.
I can't hear the word that you're saying, Mohammed. Unfortunately, I can't hear the word properly.
So I was saying, is it the same as maybe 13?
Routine, yeah, it's the same as routine. Absolutely, it's very similar. So anything that's mundane, anything that's mundane, Mohammed, is things that happen in the world on a daily basis. So they're like small everyday interactions. That's what the author is saying. So we call those mundane interactions or mundane routines. Things that you do every day. Like you wake up every day, you have breakfast maybe, right? Or you have a coffee, or you, I don't know, what are some of the mundane things that you do, Mohammed?
Yeah, like maybe like it's just like daily activity, or like maybe feeding, fighting, playing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. All those activities that we do on a daily basis, those are considered mundane. Mundane because they belong to the world, like everyone does them. And they're not they're not necessarily like they're not events on a global scale, right? You see what I'm saying? They're not events that affect everyone in the world. That's why they're called mundane. Like they're just small day, everyday things that we do. So we call those. It's an adjective. It's an adjective, right? So we call those mundane. We call those activities mundane. Does that make sense, Mohammed?
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Any other word? Any other word that you're unsure of in the
Like particularly in the modern world, that is predominantly.
predominantly this one?
Yeah, predominantly, yeah.
So basically, predominantly means that it's mostly like dominate. It's something that dominates, right? Something like a characteristic that is dominant.
Oh, it's the same as the dominant.
Yeah, pretty much. It's synonymous with dominant. So like you could substitute predominantly and say in the modern world. So the modern world is dominated by the paradigm of the written word. That's what you could say. So it's dominated by the use of the written word. Does that help?
Yeah. What about paradigm?
Paradigm. So paradigm is, so this is probably, I don't know if this is another word that is, maybe this might be a word that is bothering others as well, that is others aren't sure of. So paradigm is a system of thought. So for example, I'll give you an example. So a whole system of thought, which could be, for example, like right now we're living in a capitalistic paradigm, right? So what that means is that the way that we think of the world, right? The way that we think of the world, the way that we live in the world is informed by a way of thinking, a systemic way of thinking, right? A whole way of thinking, Mohammed. So the way that we think of the world and the way that we live in the world is informed by a capitalistic mode of society. Does that make sense, Mohammed? So that's a paradigm.
Yeah.
A paradigm is anything that's like a large system of thought that sort of branches out and influences the whole way we live. Basically, that's a paradigm. So there's many paradigms when we think that we think of when we talk about, for example, politics or economy. So there could be like capitalism is considered a paradigm, or you could say liberalism is a paradigm. It's not so different from an ideology. So paradigms and ideologies are not so different. The only slight difference is that paradigm is not necessarily associated with a political belief, right? A paradigm might be like the way that, for example, everyone structures time based on 24 hours, right, Mohammed? So everyone divides the day in 24 hours, right, Mohammed? So
Yeah.
that's a paradigm. That's a paradigm of time, the way we divide and organize time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, okay, Mohammed. So, Mohammed, you had a few words. Rukia, go for it. Your turn. Is there any words that you? I see. Rudimentary. I saw your comment. So, rudimentary, right? You said. Where is?
Last sentence, last paragraph.
It is in the second paragraph.
Last, yeah.
Of the
Here.
last sentence.
You mean in the second paragraph, Rukia? This one?
Yeah.
Okay. So I saw you read ahead. So basically, rudimentary means the most basic, the most very, like, imagine the most basic thing, Rukia, right? The most basic skill of reading and writing. That's what it means. So rudimentary is basic, basically. Like it's the simplest form. Its simplest form is the most rudimentary form. So a synonym of rudimentary is simplest. Does that make sense, Rukia? Does that help?
Yeah. Okay.
Any other words, Rukia, that you see from here, that you see from the first paragraph, especially in the first paragraph, especially that you see that you were unsure of the meaning?
Yeah, overstated.
Overstated. So the very first sentence. So Overstated means, so when we say the importance of language in a person's life cannot be overstated, that means we can't say that enough. Yeah, like we
Is
cannot
it the
say.
same as?
Tell me, Mohammed.
Is it the same as unpredictable?
Not quite. Unpredictable. Unpredictable is something that you like is surprising, right? So it surprises you. That's unpredictable, right? Overstated is that basically, if you look at the words, right? So it's a compound word, right? There's two words inside it. Do you guys see the two words? Overstated, right? So over like
Like, is it something like cannot be estimated? Estimation.
it cannot be, yes, it's similar, Rukia. So it cannot be, what it's saying is overstated is it cannot be said enough. Like we can't say it enough times how important it is. You know, like I cannot overstate how important education is to bettering yourself. You know what I mean? That could be another like example of a sentence that uses overstated. So we cannot say it enough times how important it is. Like it needs to be repeated over and over and over again. Does that make sense, Rukia? So like in a sense, you're just saying that it's so important that we need to keep saying it. It cannot be overstated. Like there's no amount of times that you can say this that it's like, oh, that's too much. You said it too many times. No, you can keep saying it. That's what overstated means. But it goes together. So
Or is it something of a state is exaggeration or
yeah,
keep
exactly. So it cannot be
oh,
it cannot be exaggerated. Like you can't like like it's so important that you can that it just cannot be
oh
exaggerated.
yeah, the importance of language maybe is very important, and maybe the importance the language have to our life is something that is real and it cannot be overstated. Means that it's not something that can be exaggerated. It is very real and it's very important.
Exactly, Rukia. Perfect. That's the perfect way of defining it. Yes, it's so real. It's so real, the meaning, that it cannot be exaggerated. Correct, Rukia. Yep. That you cannot like exaggerate it. Any other words? Okay, so overstated. We looked at mundane. We looked at predominantly. We looked at paradigm. We looked at rudimentary. Any others?
It's okay. It's okay. We are familiar with all.
With
No
all the
problem.
rest, that's really really good.
Yeah.
So you're familiar also, for example, with unspoken capital. Have you ever seen these words before?
Is it one word or is it alphabetic?
It's two words, Mohammed. Unspoken capital. So have you ever heard the word capital?
Like the like the capital, like we have maybe in United States we have Capitol House.
Uh-huh. You have a capital house. So is what when you say capital house, Mohammed, what do you mean by that in general discourse when you're talking?
Like like the United, like it is our like the capital. It is a place where maybe the like the president, maybe like let's say maybe about a place where the parliament meets.
Uh-huh. So that's that a capital city in that sense, right? That's what you're saying, Mohammed. Capital city of a country, right? Of a nation.
Yeah, maybe it is like maybe it is a building which in its status which is made in a legislative order.
Okay. But do you think it has that meaning here? Do you think it has that same meaning here, Mohammed?
No.
No. So when you read the like unspoken capital here or just capital here, we can take away unspoken if you want. There is a capital embedded in our linguistic abilities that allows us to maneuver through society. What does that mean? What does that what is that capital referring to? What is the meaning of capital in the sentence of that word? It's obviously, you're right. Yes, Rukia.
Capital is the money we are using.
Is
Money.
yes, that could be it. Yes, you're right. But
in this statement, it is not the real capital, because you are saying language is not something that you can go and buy it, but you have to really go for class and learn. And it is very important that this language is done systematic manner, whereby it should not be something that can be wrongly misinterpreted within the society.
So I think, Rukia, when you said the first thing you said is capital is money, you said, right? And I think that's that, and then you obviously you said, well, but this is language, this is not money. We're not talking about money. We're talking about language here, right? We're talking about linguistic abilities, right? So we're not talking about money. But you are right in the sense that capital is another meaning of capital. So Mohammed, one meaning of capital, you're right, is like the capital place where, for example, the president resides and so forth. That's one meaning, but obviously it's not the meaning that is used here. You're right in saying that. Then Rukia, you said capital can mean money. It can mean the money, right? It can mean, so money. What is money? Money gives us what? In today's in the modern world, money means what? Means a power, right? Means the ability to buy something, right? So there is, so maybe the capital could have that meaning. Capital means power, means there is an unspoken power embedded in our linguistic abilities, right?
Okay.
Do you see what do you see? So capital in this sense, it means, you're right, Rukia. It's associated with what money is, because capital, and like capital in the sense of money, gives us power, right? The power to buy things, the power to buy a house, the power to buy food, the power. So it gives us, money means power in capitalistic societies. But in this case, it's using the word capital to mean power, right? So there is an unspoken power in our abilities to use language, right? So, and this power is important because this is the power that the author refers to at the end of the sentence, right? That's the power to be able to participate and contribute to the world, right? Does that make sense? So it's like, so there, basically that's the power of word, of language, of written, spoken, like you guys said, there was spoken and written language. That's the power of language. The power to be able to, it gives us the power, it gives a person the power to contribute and participate in society, right, in the world. Now, so if we had to summarize, so when we summarize a paragraph, right, we shouldn't take more than 2 sentences. So 2 sentences should summarize a paragraph. This whole two pages can be summarized in 250 words, but in a paragraph. But one paragraph can be summarized in 2 lines. So if we had to summarize this paragraph, right? If we had to summarize this paragraph that we just analyzed, so this very first paragraph that we looked at, in 2 sentences, do we have enough notes to be able to summarize it in 2 sentences? Do you think? How would we summarize it in a sense? What could be our first sentence? And again, anyone can. Yeah, Rukia, please.
When doing summarization, you pick out the paragraph of the first sentence of the paragraph that starts with the content, and then you paraphrase through your own words.
Yep, that's correct. That's correct, Rukia. So you pick out the main points, right? You're absolutely right, and we put them in our own words. So can we try doing that right now, very quickly? So what would you think would be the 2 most important points that we would have to stress that come out of this paragraph? I think we've sort of said it already. So first of all, is the importance of spoken and written language, right, in the person's life. We said that. And then the other important, maybe another important idea is what, that these skills, right, give people power to to participate in the world, right, and contribute to the world. So perhaps, how could we summarize it? So how could we summarize these two ideas in two sentences? What do you think? You guys can. So we might say language is, I think Mohammed, you said vital, right? I remember you said vital.
Yeah, you say it better.
I remember you said vital, right? You used the word vital. You said language is vital. I remember.
Yeah, it's maybe essential. You can
Uh-huh.
use essential.
Is essential, yeah. So we can say is essential in, maybe we can say in everyday life, right?
Yeah.
So that could be our first, that's our first sentence in a sense, because that's the first message that the author is saying. The second message has to do more with what you were saying afterwards. So the barriers, power that comes with it. So how can we say this second sentence? What could we say in the second sentence?
Maybe we can talk about how we'll do that communication. How is it important, and through which way you can communicate? Maybe you can say the importance of language is very essential in our life, and we can communicate to the community through either spoken, signal, or written. So we are talking about how to communicate, the communication ways.
So we can say so next sentence can be how, basically. That's right, Rukia. We can say, so we can specify
How?
in the next sentence. Yep, language both written and spoken is essential in everyday life. We could add, maybe we could say is essential in everyday life in communicating with our surrounding communities, right? Or
Yeah.
community. And then our second sentence has to be something about maybe this idea of power, right? Maybe, because I think this is an important element, right? So we were talking about the barriers that exist when a person is not able to communicate fully. So we could say that language skills or linguistic skills, however, are not evenly distributed, right? We could say, right? They're not evenly distributed. We could say linguistic skills, however, are not evenly distributed. We could say linguistic skills allow us to participate in the world. Maybe we could say provide us linguistic skills provide us with the power to participate in the world, however, are not evenly distributed. How does that sound? Does that capture what we were saying, Rukia? What do you think?
Yeah, it's very okay. Continue.
So would this be a good summary, you think, to the paragraph that we just looked at?
Yeah, connecting. Yeah.
Okay. So in order to write this summary, what I did is I used the notes. Can you guys see the notes that I took? Right? You can see them.
Maybe those mark the color are the main points we have picked, and you are doing some paraphrasing.
Correct, Ruki. I'm doing some paraphrasing, right? And I'm putting it, and at the end of the day, how many sentences did I produce? 2 sentences, right? 1 sentence and 2 sentences. This is a second, right? So
Is it necessary they are in orderly, or you can pick any? Maybe the coherency of those sentence matters a lot.
yes, you're absolutely right, Rukia. The coherence of the 2 sentences matters a lot. So it's oftentimes, Rukia, it's good to follow the logical flow that the author followed. So if the author went from point A to point B, we want to use that logical flow in our summary as well. Does that make sense, Rukia? We want to keep that coherence. We want to keep that flow because it might be important, like you said. It might be important to understanding the argument. that the author is building, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So it does, the order does matter. That's what I'm saying. The order does matter. You're absolutely right. It does matter, and we want to try to keep the logical flow that the author is providing us with, in a sense. Okay, so I see that our next group is joining us. So I see Omot, and I think I saw Mohammed C as well. So I think it's time to wrap things up with us. Okay, guys. So what Mohammed and Rukia and Abukar? I saw Abukar was here temporarily, but I think he left again. I hope he. I'll try to maybe reach out to him afterwards to just tell him what's happening. So Mohammed and Rukia. So tomorrow, what I want you to do is when you meet at the learning center. So obviously, Rukia, you'll be connected through the phone with Esther. You'll have to reach out to Esther to see what she says. But Mohammed, you're required that you go to the learning center if you can, obviously, to work with Esther. Otherwise, you'll also have to connect the phone. What I want you guys to do is I want you to keep going through this text together. I will send you the link to this text, so you'll be able to access it. Okay, and I want you to try to read through the same way we just did together. I want you to read through the rest of this text together and try to summarize the next two paragraphs as well. Okay, so I want you to try to summarize the second paragraph, which is the one right here. I came to be interested. This one here, and then the third paragraph that is right here, the gender generational gaps. You see the two paragraphs, guys? So this is paragraph 3, right? Paragraph 3, and this is paragraph 2, right? So what I want you guys to do is I want you to together as a group, I want you to read paragraph 2 and summarize paragraph 2 the same way we just did with 2 sentences. And then individually, I want you to analyze and summarize in 2 sentences paragraph 3, okay? And submit them to me by Sunday at the latest. Does that make sense, Mohammed and Rukia?
Yeah.
Is it individual assignment or group work?
For part 3 is individual, then
Yep.
part 2 is group.
Correct. Yes, that's correct. So paragraph 3 is individual and paragraph 2 is collective.
Okay.
Absolutely. You understood it really well. Rukia, does that make sense to you?
I'm connected there.
Rukia, does that make sense?
Yeah, like this. Mirko. Yes.
Mohammed and Rukia, does that make sense?
Yeah. Maybe
Okay.
Rukia.
Paragraph 3 is for individual, paragraph 2 is for group work, and then
Perfect.
I was asking, this is it required how many sentences, or it depends the summarization? It's up to the point.
Two sentences per paragraph, Rukia. I want 2 sentences per paragraph, not more. So 2 sentences. The same way we just did. You know the way we just did it. So 2 sentences for paragraph 2, 2 sentences for paragraph 3.
That's perfect.
Does that make sense? So it's not long. It's not a long activity like you saw. It's a short assignment, very small. And so that's why by Sunday, please, I want them submitted. Okay? Is that okay, Rukia? Is that all right to ask?
Yeah, very clear.
So tomorrow you'll be connecting at around. You'll be connecting with Esther, and basically Esther will be guiding you through the paragraph 2. So you'll do that one collectively together as a group. Then you'll move on to paragraph 3, and that one you will do individually, and then you can do that one on your own. Okay? And then hopefully Abukar will join as well. I'll reach out to him afterwards to like inform him on what's happening.
Yeah, kindly send in my email. This is extra.
Yes, I will, Rukia. I will send it to you by email. I will send you this text, and I will also send it on WhatsApp for Mohammed and Abukar as well, if you guys, or if you prefer, I can send it to all of you by email. If you prefer all.
No problem.
Yeah,
Because
maybe it's okay.
Yeah.
You can still use both.
I'll use both. Exactly.
Use
Okay.
both, yeah.
Rukia and Mohammed, thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna ask you guys to go now, because I'm gonna start with group 3. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
It was nice to see you, Mohammed, and have a great day. Abukar, I'm just gonna quickly, Abukar, if you can stay on for 2 minutes, if you can hear me, if you can stay on for 2 minutes, I'm gonna explain to you a few things. Mohammed and Rukia, have a great evening, and we'll talk again in the next few days. Remember to submit to me the summaries by Sunday. Okay?
Okay, you too.
Bye Rukia, bye Mohammed. Mohammed Noor, not Mohammed Sia. Mohammed Sia, you stay on. Don't leave.
Yeah.